Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Tom and Astis Show, live from Reno's East in East Lansing. Got a great crowd on hand here this evening. Glad you wore your ugly Christmas sweaters this evening.
This is one ugly group tonight.
It really is. It really is. But it's a festive group.
Absolutely. Welcome, and thanks for digging deep and participating. It's great.
Got the guys are all here. We're going to meet them a little bit later. All the members of the team, they all have their ugly sweaters back there. Some of them uglier than others.
We're going to have a Final Four and try to come up with the semifinalists and winner of the ugliest Christmas sweater contest for tonight.
What's up, guys? I'm Zach Osborne, and I don't know if you've seen the movie Elf, but this is Buddy the Elf. This is his sweater. I got it directly from him. Actually, Ed Mini also has the same one as me, so I'm kind of like his mini-me, because he's like 6'7", and I'm just short of 5'9".
It's a Christmas sweater with the green and red, and I figured it was pretty ugly, so ugly Christmas sweater.
I'm Connor Wood. Tonight I got on basically just your standard issue grandma Christmas sweater. It's also fleece, so it's getting it done in the covering department as well.
Hi, I'm Joe Cox. I didn't really have a sweater, so I had to borrow this one from my girlfriend. It's kind of small on the arms, but it's really just Grinch and his little dog Max.
I'm William. We actually don't have this crazy tradition in Sweden, so I'm borrowing this one from, I think it's Hildy's friends.
We're going to go one at a time, and we got our judges back here. And we're going to go one at a time based on the sound of the applause. And the loudest applause will obviously finish first.
The Gatter. Everybody who thinks Gatter had this.
Okay. Gatter's in the hunt for sure.
And last, we've got Newts.
Huggy Bear. All right.
And our first annual ugly holiday sweater winner with this Bee Gees autobiography. Coach Tom Newton, everybody.
Hello, I'm John Draeger, senior defenseman from Faribault, Minnesota. It's a small little town. They have the Tilt-A-Whirl factory. They have the wool factory. So it's a small little town. Growing up, I played everything. I was an active kid. Playing, street hockey. In the yard and everything. But yeah, obviously in Minnesota, you always had pond hockey. We'd always go out in the lake. String up Christmas lights around the rink. So we'd play at night. So it was obviously. We play hockey.
In Minnesota, because there are so many ponds and lakes, almost every kid will go out and play, at least till the sun goes down. He was out there a lot until it got dark, until he couldn't see the puck anymore, then they'd come home. They bring big bucketfuls of pucks because obviously if it didn't have boards, some of them you'd lose in snowbanks and such, so then they'd run out of pucks and have to come home and restock and go back. So
I don't think I ever remember telling them to go play hockey. It was always, hey, it's time to come home now.
Yeah.
It was just an awesome experience and being out there, just working on your game a little bit, but having fun at the same time, and stringing up the Christmas lights and shoveling it every morning, and it was just a cool experience.
Minnesota and hockey, a match seemingly made in heaven. For young John Draeger, it was simply what kids his age did. Youngsters from the land of 10,000 lakes start on the pond before moving on to youth leagues, which is where Draeger learned that hockey was a game he wanted to pursue.
I remember one particular night. We had a late night hockey practice, and we were driving home. It was probably in the middle of February. It was cold out, and it was just he and I in the car. And I remember him, I don't remember exactly the words he used, but he said something to the effect of, hey, Dad, I really enjoy hockey, and I'm going to dedicate more of my time to that. And it seemed like ever since that time is when he started making those decisions that, okay, I love playing baseball, but maybe I need to spend a little bit more time playing hockey.
Time and dedication were pivotal for John to achieve his next goal. As his skills on the ice improved through the years and with high school quickly approaching, Draeger wanted to play for the Paramount program in Minnesota Prep Hockey. He decided to try out for the renowned Shattuck St. Mary's team.
I went to school there in 7th and 8th grade, so I was hoping to make the team, but didn't.
John really worked hard, and he really wanted to make one of those teams. And those 2 years where he couldn't make their team, that was pretty tough on him.
I wasn't going to be denied because I went and stayed in the cities with my grandparents. You guys know my grandfather is a huge inspiration to me. I stayed at their house and trained all summer. I worked really hard, got up early in the morning, and I trained at the training center there, and then worked with my grandpa later in the cement trucking company. So spent all summer working with him and training. He pushed me in ways that I didn't think I could push myself, and just the hard work that he puts into everything he does, even in the trucking company, and he instilled that in me. He would make me run. He would make me help him with the wheelbarrow, doing stuff around the house, and everything he did to perfection. Even if it wasn't a glorious job, he made it. He had a smile on his face and made it fun.
I think that's where the admiration maybe started with his grandpa. He is probably the hardest working man I know, and I think John would probably say the same thing.
So it's a long process, but I was very fortunate to keep working hard, and finally my freshman year I was able to make the midget AA team. Most kids were disappointed to be on the midget AA team, and here I was very fortunate to even be on the Shattuck team. So I was happy-go-lucky just to make a Shattuck program.
And I remember that day like it was yesterday when he got that call to say, "Hey, we got a spot for you." It was pretty exciting.
Very exciting. And Coach Nightingale, who coached here, was John's first Shattuck coach. So that was really, he's a great guy, and it was a really fun year. It was about character, on the ice and off the ice. And as a parent, that's something that I really admire, and I like that. I want my son to have good character both on the ice and off the ice.
I was truly blessed just to make the program, and then obviously I met Nightingale, and his enthusiasm and the way he sees the game really helped my game. I think that year I really made a huge jump just in the way I competed, the way I moved the puck, and learning the game of defense. It was a great year.
John helped lead Shattuck to a 95, 11, and 5 overall record and back-to-back Tier 1 national championships in his final 2 seasons. As the team's top goal-scoring defenseman, John's accolades weren't just drawing guys from colleges around the nation, but from the NHL as well. His favorite team, the Minnesota Wild, drafted him in the 3rd round of the 2012 entry draft. And while the bright lights of the NHL were hard to ignore, sage advice from a former Spartan helped Draeger set his course to MSU.
I was very fortunate. A lot of schools were talking to me, and Nightingale was a big influence on why I picked Michigan State. I trusted his input, and he coached me for that year, and he really talked highly of the family of Michigan State, and it was something that I wanted to be a part of. And he really talked about all the greats that have been here and the program, and Coach asked this, and it'd be a great spot for me. And I really trusted his input.
Adam knew how far this young man had come in that short amount of time, and he was just so impressed with his character, his love for the game, his desire to get better as a player and learn the game, that we felt, and we were dead on, that was the right type of guy for us at that point in time.
We saw a guy who had a great intensity for the game. Nothing was ever given to him. He was kind of a late bloomer, and he was a guy that really aspired to play at the very highest levels. And so when we identified him early, we felt he really fit the DNA that we were looking for to rebuild Spartan hockey.
That's what I pride myself in as a hockey player. So I really understood what he was talking about, playing the game the right way, and playing it with integrity and hard work.
It made me pretty proud, the kind of things that they were saying that they wanted to build their program on, and that they thought that John would be a guy like that. So as a parent, that's a pretty proud moment, and pretty thankful that other people saw that.
He had one more school to visit, but he pretty much, when he got off the airplane, he said, I'm going to go to Michigan State. So it was, but we said we have to do that one last visit. But he said, yeah, well, I am going to go here. So it was exciting.
The freshman phenom made an immediate impact for the Spartans in his first season in the green and white. Playing in all 42 games, he ranked third in the nation in block shots and notched 10 points on the year.
Fakes a shot, goes down to the goal line, back up into the slot. Yes! Draeger shot, goal for Michigan State. John Draeger with his first as a Spartan, and Michigan State has the lead 1-0.
I just wanted to come out there and give it my all. And give the effort, a little extra effort on the rink. Show up early. Be the first guy on, last guy off mentality. So that's just what I took every day.
He competes hard. He's got great practice habits. He's a fierce competitor. He loves being around the rink. He tries every day to make his teammates better, and the team always comes first.
I really learned a lot. Learning film was something I'm not used to, so being in the film room with Coach Nightingale was a huge help to my game, and also playing with Jake Chelios, a senior guy, that really helped me along.
After a successful first season for the freshman defenseman, the next 2 seasons brought considerable setbacks for the Minnesota native. 2 surgeries limited Draeger's game time and off-ice training during his sophomore and junior campaigns. Amidst the setbacks, John knew who to turn to for advice: his grandpa.
He's always so positive about me getting back out there and just keeping my confidence up. And he said, just keep working hard, and when you get healthy, you'll be right back out there. So that was always a boost to my confidence. I don't take the off season lightly. I don't take it as a break. I take it as an opportunity to get better. So I see. Not being able to do that was tough on me. It was tough to come into training camp and you're not as strong as you'd like to be, not as confident maybe. So it's definitely a frustrating experience.
He's got such a passion for the game and a will to get better that he just keeps fighting through the multiple surgeries he's had and the injuries he's had. So he has spent way more time in the training room than I'm sure he wanted to when he came here, but he just keeps fighting through that, and he's a terrific Spartan.
After a strong finish to his junior season, John knew the following months would be paramount in making his final year in the green and white one to remember.
I was very fortunate this summer to train. Really, I spent my whole summer training really, really hard and got the time in on the ice and in the weight room. So I was really confident coming into this year and felt I had the best, physically and mentally ready for the season.
I just think he's starting to hit his stride and really starting to bloom, even as a late developer in college because of the time restrictions he's had recovering from injuries. But I think his future is very bright.
I just want to leave the mentality of like we talked about, playing with integrity and playing the game the right way, being physical and tough to play against. I think that's what I want to leave.
Through John's impressive career at MSU, he's experienced just about everything a college hockey player could dream of. But in his senior season, he's got one more trip to cherish, a trip home to play the Gophers in front of his whole family.
You look forward to it, you get to see your family, and they get to watch a game live. So I know my grandmother hasn't been to a game live unless it's in Minnesota, so it's always great to see her, and the extended family always comes, so it definitely means a little more to you because you are playing in Minnesota.
He comes from a hockey-crazed state. The people there take great pride in their hockey, as does he. He came out of the Shattuck St. Mary's program, which is a very proud, has a great hockey tradition. I know when he goes back to Minnesota, it's always extra special for him. So, he plays some of his best hockey there, and I remember he scored a nice goal in front of the net there last year. And I'm sure it'll be exciting for him this year to go back there, really for his last time as a college player.
Unbelievable character. He has, with his hips and the things he's had to overcome, the situation that as a real young player right out of high school hockey that he was put into, the number of minutes and the level he had to play at. And boy, he's never turned down a challenge and has accepted all and battled through every bit of it. Just a really typical Spartan athlete.
What are you guys thinking about tracking for the Wisconsin game this week?
I think a big thing that we noticed last weekend was forechecking from Penn State, so I think we want to look into maybe some forechecking things, how we're responding to their system as it differs from our opponents.
Zone exit efficiency.
Yeah, that too. The zone exit, zone entries. I think we want to try to focus on some areas where we've done a lot better in our wins than when we do worse in our losses.
In collegiate hockey, especially the Big Ten, the difference between a win and a loss is razor thin. A long shift or a bad night in the face-off circle can spell disaster for any team, which leaves every program looking for answers and ways to improve each week. For the Spartans, those answers come from an unexpected place.
There was a presentation being done on campus by Professor Sherry Spire-Perro, and I sat in on it, and she happened to be a hockey mom. And we spent a little time afterwards, and I talked to her about maybe creating something with our hockey operations and some master students to explore areas that might be able to impact our recruiting, our prospect analysis, and certainly our team play.
For us, programmatically, I think what was so exciting was the realization that if we could do something effective for the athletics department, we were opening the door to offer some of our students experiences that would allow them to have the potential for jobs in the sports arena, because there's such demand for analytics in sports, you also need to have some type of experience.
But in terms of our carry rate improved up until last game, but that's gone up from the mid-60s up into the 70s. In terms of our carry rate allowed, though, that's actually gotten a lot worse. So I think that's something that we got to talk about with the coaches.
And they're taking all of our game data and inputting it into a system and spitting out a variety of different things, from compatibility of lines with defensive pairings, compatibility of players playing with one another to make up lines or defensive pairings, the differences maybe of a player playing wing as opposed to playing center and his impact on the game. So it's really interesting stuff, and it's doing a real deep dive from a technical standpoint that's making us think maybe a little bit differently than we're used to.
You know, we tried to hear kind of the strategies that they're trying to implement, and, you know, see ways we can set up the data for testing, you know, how those are working. Just looking for any sort of insight on, you know, what could help the team make some sort of improvement in practice or in a game to, you know, help produce more goals and more wins.
Having the hockey background kind of allows us to better provide insights in that way, because we've played the game before. We know the rules of hockey and kind of how the game flow works. So when we get this data, you can't jump into this thing's causing this just because numbers say it is. Using kind of hockey knowledge to justify what those numbers are is a big part of it, and kind of explaining it to coaches.
A key part of us even pulling this together is to find the right people, the right students who would be totally engrossed in it. So I think they're pursuing their passion and education and seeing opportunity in sport today, maybe in a different way than they ever imagined when they came to school.
First time around through this first 6 games, everybody was more bunched around that 50% mark. I don't know if you can remember, but now we're starting to see the top end, the top end forwards kind of separating. The Sanford, Wood, Appleton, Ferentino area is really good. It's a high amount of Corsi numbers for versus a low against.
And again, that's attempts for versus attempts against.
Yep, they got off to a really good start last game, but then we bounced back really well with 3 goals in a row, and pretty much matched their Corsi rate throughout the whole game after that point.
So this is really accentuated in the third period. third period you're trying to defend. But you also see the same trends, just not as extreme in the first and second period.
We used to have essentially a piece of paper and you draw lines through it with win, losses, and ties in different zone areas for face-offs. And you had to kind of decipher through it and keep an eye on it during the course of the game. And now we're getting live input that is being inputted up in the press box, and it comes up on an app right on our iPad. So we know immediately who's our number one guy on face-offs, number two guy against each opponent and in each location on the rink. So it's very real-time, helpful information that we're using every game.
And for us, I think it's symbolic of MSU more broadly, of the types of collaborations that the university is constantly looking for and encouraging. So to be able to add value to an entity on campus, whether it's MSU Advancement or MSU Athletics, for us is just a phenomenal feel-good for everybody.
To me, it's a terrific integration between athletics and the business school. And these students have really wrapped their arms around it and are making an important contribution to our program.
Absolutely a dream come true, a dream opportunity. So, I mean, ever since we grew up and, wake up and grab the sports page and look at the statistics, this is what we wanted to do with our lives. So, yeah, it's just an amazing opportunity and we're cherishing every moment of it.